like yell really loud for a second.
Yeah, not in here though. You got this.
Okay.
That was kind of shiny.
I was grunting out loud. Good evening, everyone. How you doing? My name's Jonathan. Now, can I ask a question for everybody real quick? Excuse me. Who in here likes spam? Raise your hands. Anybody? You know, the kind you get from like a dirty porn site or really bad. Something like this. You know, something really, you know, like the baby and, you know, Twitter. We get that all the time. You know, it's kind of what I expected to hear. You know, actually not the laughs, but, you know, the dead, you know, no responses. Many people, including myself, don't like spam, especially how annoying it is, especially like on Twitter, you know, with this and everything. But, and especially in the email, that's not really something you want to see as well. But, however, according to Nielsen.com, global online display advertising accounts for 26.3% of, in quarter one it was 26.3%, it grew, actually, in 2013. And that number is increasing rapidly by the day. You see these ads everywhere on the web, YouTube, Google, Facebook, you know, the big giants. But what do they really mean? Sure, initially they're trying to sell you a product or service on the surface, but how do they really benefit the internet as a whole? In the beginning, wrong slide. How do they benefit the internet? For 5 years, I've been studying under my father the ins and outs of internet marketing, who he is a business-to-business marketing guru. He knows many people in the business, and he's taught me everything he's known about internet marketing and advertising, so much that it's caused me to actually change my major in marketing last spring. And that's something I'm really passionate about, as you can see. Which brings me to my topic of discussion today, the evolution of internet marketing and how important it is to the internet as a whole. Learning the history and the purpose of internet marketing can not only expand the regular man's knowledge of the website they're currently visiting, but also increases the understanding of the internet, how it works, and how it really works internally, like advertising, web space, the whole 9 yards. Today I'll be talking about the history and origin of internet marketing, where it is today, and where it's going in the future. Let's first take a look at the history and origin of internet marketing. Internet marketing and advertising first started out in 1987 with companies like AOL, CompuServe, and Netscape providing internet to people in the late 80s, early 90s. The initial need for advertising in the web was due to part of the birth of the dot-com boom, better known as the dot-com bubble later on in the decade. Dot-com boom. You may recognize the Internet Explorer E. Who could forget that? This boom, combined with the need for advertising and marketing, was fueled primarily by the adult film industry, which is something I know you know a lot about, and the need to get their products up and about, you know, to the internet. You know, I didn't want to show a picture of that, so I stuck with the E. This was not only, this was not only created in the dot-com bubble. It was one that was embraced by big companies, such as the blue chip Fortune 500 companies, such as Apple and AT&T. They figured they needed to get the message out as well, and they were the people who had the most capital and money to actually do so. And they were willing to pay whatever price they could to get that message out and heard. These were known as the early adopters of internet marketing, primarily because they had the most money and resources to spend. First initial methods of internet marketing were through bulk email and banner advertising. Those may seem primitive at the time, you know, bulk email, thousands, I'm talking 2,000, 5,000 at a time. Today it's over, I think, 10,000 get shipped out. These were the cutting edge technologies of the late 90s. Other methods include pay-per-click, also known as PPC, and paid search, as well as the distribution of physical CD-ROMs. Do you guys remember the old AOL CDs that you guys got at Publix or whatever, Walmart? You know, I used to get this in the mail as well. And it was pretty funny because they were the coolest things at the time, and now that I look at them, I'm like, what's the point? You know, like why do these even exist? These were distributed everywhere. copies like via post mail, all 9 yards. Back to my Google head. One of the most successful divisions ever created by Google was their AdWords campaign. This is their flagship program, and according to Mashable.com, this is Google's main advertising tool and their most profitable, profitable service. Its total revenue from the Google AdWords was $28 billion in 2010. This was achieved by companies using pay-per-click, a service in which a company only pays for the clicks that they get on the website. If they don't get a click, they don't get paid. They don't have to pay. There's a set budget, and that's where they draw from. This example shows one of the many ways of how powerful internet marketing and advertising can be and how much it actually affects the internet. Let's discuss internet marketing in its present form. The shift from advertising and marketing to internet from the early days in 1987 to 2014 has not changed that much. Bulk email, banner advertisements, paid searches are still there, but there are additions to the new advertising model. New additions seen in the past 20 years to internet advertising include intelligent display advertising. However, the most popular method in today's world is obviously social media. According to splatf.com, advertising and marketing on Facebook generated 85% of the income, which equates to about $3.2 billion when you look at the total scale of revenue. That number alone is powerful enough to demonstrate how advertising on popular social media network sites like Facebook, you see Farmville and Zynga everywhere back in the day. It demonstrates how powerful it is just based on advertising space alone. This brings me to a very crucial point of today's speech. As great as the internet is, and how powerful it is, and how wonderful it is, information at your fingertips everywhere you go, it's not free. In fact, it's actually very expensive. The domain names itself can be very expensive. They range from anywhere from $50 to $1 million. Not even kidding. My dad told me that business.com sold at, I think, $8 million, that domain name. So just little things like that, like little catchphrases. And because of this, and various other maintenance costs, companies needed capital in the beginning. They needed money to run their website. Because you can have a website with internet, but you need to run it, and you need to really maintain it. So they started selling advertising space. As seen here with the Facebook ad, as I mentioned earlier, with the circle in the red circle. At first, this made companies very little money because there wasn't really much traffic to go for these internet ads. But eventually, it started getting so rapid and they started getting so much money, especially the advertising companies on both sides, both the company and the website, that they had to start bidding on space. Kind of like an auction. That's how Google AdWords works today. You have a set budget, and whoever bids on the most on the word gets that space in the Google sidebar. You guys know what I'm talking about. Without this billion-dollar industry, the internet as we know it would be drastically different. The only websites that would exist today would be domated websites such as Wikipedia, .org, .edu, and I think .gov as well. As you can see here, it's a very vast network. This is just one of the many examples of how the internet actually works, especially from your phone. According to TechCrunch.com, 106.2 million domain names were registered under the .com domain name, and 250 million registered. As of April 2013, excuse me. Without these .com domain names, there simply wouldn't be an internet. I know it's nice to think about everything being free, and it'd be nice to have an idea what to pay for internet, but you wouldn't have any entertainment on your websites. You wouldn't have Yahoo, you wouldn't have Google, nor YouTube. It would just be plain old boring .gov websites, .edu, and I only go on my links when I have to. So that kind of wraps that up. Well, the statistics and facts stated, I can safely say that the internet would not exist without internet advertising or marketing. What about the future of internet marketing? The future of internet marketing can be described both as prosperous and as having a very bright future. Companies everywhere are evolving their marketing techniques and strategies around the consumer. When you search something, you say you search up going to the movies, and there are 3 different movie theaters popping up within your next search. The companies follow you through your searches. You know what I'm saying? They follow you and they maintain their product around you. So it's not really like they're selling to you anymore, but they're just giving you kind of what you want. And that's the evolution in the future. And also, companies like Google are being more aggressive with their ad campaigns, being very flashy and intuitive with it as well. Google's display network is another way they advertise, and it centers their marketing around the consumer and user behavior, just based on 1 or 2 or 3 searches, like I said before. This is called intelligent display advertising, and this intelligent display advertising is the future of internet marketing, is the future trend, going above and beyond what the actual advertising model would be, because it's centered around, at first it was centered around the consumer, but it was mainly company-based. Now it's centered around the consumer. In conclusion, we discussed the history and origin of internet marketing, its impact on today and the internet, and its future, as seen here. There's one thing you can take away from what I have said today. I would hope that you have a clear understanding of how internet marketing is not only violence to the consumer, but violence to the internet and the industry as a whole. It's been said that money makes the world go around, and I can only tell you, and I can tell you right now, that's not only true in real life, also true on the internet, and that is something you should always remember whenever buying any kind of product. Thank you for having me.